Next is Representative John Delaney. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. I want to thank the Chair and the Ranking Member and all of my colleagues for giving me this opportunity to discuss Metro with you today. It's obviously something that's very important to my constituents, many of which use the system on a daily basis. It's also important, as we know, to everyone who lives in the National Capital Region and to all the visitors of our nation's capital. Clearly, Metro is an organization in crisis with significant deficiencies around safety, around reliability, around customer service, and around financial management. And if you diagnose the problems with Metro, you realize there are several causes. The first, Ranking Member Norton discussed, which is Metro effectively reports to 4 governing jurisdictions: D.C., Maryland, Virginia, and the federal government. This four-headed monster makes it very difficult for Metro to get the kind of funding and oversight that would be optimal for an organization of its scale. Secondly, as Ranking Member DeFazio talked about, by any measure, Metro has been underfunded, and it's lacked a reliable source of funding, which has created greater uncertainty and made the underfunded situation more pronounced. And finally, it's clearly been mismanaged, perhaps for several decades. When you look back at management decisions, whether they be strategic or tactical, clearly poor decisions were made. I, like you, want to exclude the current general manager from that criticism because I, like you, share the view that he's off to a very good start and we should be very supportive of him. But I think there's another issue that needs to be considered when you talk about what's going on with Metro, and this gets to Chairman Schuster's comments about culture, which is Metro has clearly had a deficient culture as it relates to its priorities. And I think that raises a governance question. In other words, what's happening in terms of the board of directors, in the governance and management of Metro. As someone who spent my whole career in the private sector, chairing 2 publicly traded companies and also being on the board of very high-performing nonprofits, I think governance really matters because a good board sets the correct mission, sets the correct strategic goals. Their most important responsibility is to recruit management, to hold them accountable. If they're not living up to the goals, make management changes, and to secure the funding that the enterprise needs. And the way they secure the funding is by making people believe that they're actually running the place right. And I think this is a significant question with Metro. Right now, Metro has a 16-person board. 4 of those members are appointed by each relevant jurisdiction. And currently, there are no standards for who those members can be. Mr. Schuster, or the Chairman, I think you said you can't legislate certain things. One thing you can't legislate is good governance, but you can do things to make sure we have the best people possible sitting around the table making these decisions, instead of maybe just elected officials or instead of just people who are given a board spot because they raised a lot of money for the relevant elected officer. And so what I've tried to do is put forth, and Representative Comstock has been supportive of this with me, put forth a framework where the jurisdictions will be required as part of their appointment process to certify that the members that they're appointing are experts in either finance, in management, in transit, or in safety. I think this will put people with more qualifications and more experience around the board table at Metro, and I think it will encourage maybe longer-term thinking, because my sense is these people will probably have more experience in board governance matters, and they won't think about their own unique interests in the particular jurisdictions they represent, but spend more time thinking about the good of the whole enterprise, which is what a real fiduciary should do. So I think to talk about specific things we can do to change the culture, in addition to getting more funding, in addition to supporting the new management changes, I think there are some important things we can do around governance. And I applaud Secretary Fox, who is actually taking a step in this direction. He recently changed all of the federal appointees to the board and put up 4 people who clearly have expertise in safety, which is something we support. But we would also like to see some people sitting around the table who have finance experience, management experience, and real transit experience. So we get some real experts thinking long-term for the good of the enterprise, creating the right mission, getting the right management team in place, and holding them accountable. And I think over time that can change the culture of Metro. So I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you.
Thank you very much, all 3 of you. And with that, I'll dismiss the first panel, and we'll